All right, everyone, we are here with a very special guest. We are joined by the lovely Billy Eichner, whose new movie Bros comes out September 30th in theaters. We are so excited to have you here today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. How are you?
We are doing very well. We're very excited to talk to you. We are slightly disappointed because we had a confusion with our own producer. We had thought you were an in-studio interview today, so we were so excited.
We hyped ourselves up so much.
And like 15 minutes before, he was like, guys, it's on Zoom. You know that, right? And we were like, no.
Oh, no.
So much so that we made a bet with him because we were like, no, it's definitely in person. So then we just had to Venmo him money because he won.
Yeah, he won.
I'm so sorry. I'll pay you back for that.
Perfect.
But next time I'll come in studio for sure. Usually people are disappointed because they say Billy Eichner and everyone thinks Billie Eilish is going to show up. And so when I show up, you can imagine the level of disappointment.
We're here with Billy Eichner.
Eichner. Yeah. So, well, I'm happy to be chatting with you even remotely. Thank you for having me.
Yes, we are too.
Us too. Bros, the movie is great. I've very much enjoyed it. It was
Thank you.
it was like wholesome and sexy at the same time. Like somehow it was
Yeah.
wholesome and raunchy like at the same time, which I kind of
The
loved.
perfect combination.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
really great. And I would love for you to just talk us through the process of getting this movie made because I know you've been working on it for quite some time.
Yeah, I made Bros. It's a romantic comedy about a gay couple, and it is one of, if not the first, gay rom-coms ever made by a major studio. Certainly the first R-rated one, and certainly the first produced by Judd Apatow, who made Bridesmaids and 40-Year-Old Virgin and Superbad and Trainwreck and all these amazing movies. And Nick Stoller co-wrote it with me, and he directed it. He made Forgetting Sarah Marshall and Neighbors and all these amazing movies. So
Yeah.
these guys really know how to make a laugh out loud, funny, explosively funny comedy. That's also, I hope, really heartfelt and honest and uplifting. That's what we were going for. And it actually started with Nick and Judd coming to me about 5 years ago and saying, we think it would be cool to make romantic comedy. We love romantic comedies, but we think it would be cool to make one about a gay couple because it's not something that we've seen a lot of, and they're both straight. And they were fans of mine. I had worked with Nick before. I worked on a show of his called Friends from College on Netflix. And he said, do you want to write it together? And if all goes well, you can star in it and I'll direct it and Judd will produce it. And here we are 5 years later. We did that. And I'm really proud of it. Like I said, those guys have made so many laugh out loud, hysterically funny classic movies. And this one has a little twist in that it's about a gay couple, and the whole cast is openly LGBTQ actors, even in the straight roles. And so it's just fun. It's a twist on what, we're used to seeing. And, there are some historic statistics attached to it, and those are exciting. But really, we never thought about that while making the movie. We just thought we want to make a really friggin' funny movie that, is a reason for people to leave their house, go to the movie theater, and laugh out loud with their friends, be swept away, see something romantic and uplifting, a really feel-good movie. I think we need that these days.
Yeah, absolutely. And you said that this has been 5 years in the making. And I could imagine at the beginning of a process like this, you're almost like, is this ever going to get made? Did you have any of those thoughts while you were making this?
Oh my God, all the time. I'm still expecting Universal to call and say, actually, we're not releasing it. Oh my God, yeah. And I remember, Judd and Nick, they have a long, so much experience making big hit mainstream comedies, many of them with Universal. And they said to me from the beginning, we think Universal is going to want to do this. And I said, guys, you're insane. Okay. Like, I've been an openly gay man in comedy for 20 years, and I've had a wonderful career, but there tends to be a ceiling for people like me. I mean, Universal in its entire 100+ year history has never made a romantic comedy about a gay couple. I mean, it's just not something that has happened. And I said to them, I think you're crazy that thinking that the same studio that makes Jurassic World and Fast and the Furious and Minions is gonna make an R-rated gay comedy, and not only make it, but allow us to keep it real.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want to make some kind of bullshitty sitcom-y thing. I wanted it to be really funny, but I also wanted it to be honest. Because these days, the rules of romantic comedies, I don't even think they apply to young straight couples anymore, let alone gay couples. You know what I mean? We're all making up our own rules, and that's what's fun and exciting and fresh about it. And I never thought Universal would do it, but Judd and Nick, they kept saying we think they will, and they gave me that confidence, and luckily they did, and I'm really grateful.
How was the writing process for you? Because I think a lot of times rom-coms, you know, you kind of joke and you see the actors pull from their real lives, but you are writing this and you are in the movie. How much of your own experiences did you put into this movie?
A lot. It's not entirely autobiographical, and I'm certainly not playing myself, but of course, like any writer, I pulled from my own life and also the lives of my friends, you know, my straight friends, my gay friends. I have so many bad dating experiences, so many experiences I've had with relationships, you know, that have been bumpy and also funny and absurd and interesting. I mean, years worth of these. And I've never written a romantic comedy, so I got to put all of that into this movie. And I think whether you're straight, gay, queer, LGBTQ, whatever you are, if you have been single in the past 10, 15 years, navigating single life and sex and dating in the age of apps and Instagram and texting and sexting, I mean, you know, this is not When Harry Met Sally. You know what I mean? Like, all those rom-coms we grew up with, which I still love and I watch, you know, You've Got Mail and Moonstruck and all those movies, but they aren't modern, right? So they didn't have to deal with all the stuff we have to deal with now, which has made things even more complicated. And so I pulled a lot of those experiences from my life and my friends' lives as single folks looking for love and sex, and put a lot of that into the movie.
We both just took that breath at the same time.
The same breath.
Because things are always moving at such a fast pace nowadays. There's so many different apps. There's so many different ways to meet people. And you did start writing it years ago. How much did you have to adjust during the filming of the movie compared to when you started writing it?
I'm not that old. We started writing it 5 years ago.
I know, but things move so fast.
Prehistoric age.
They move so fast.
You are right. No,
you like Instagram DMing, all of that,
right?
All of it, and you know, it's I'm a single man, and you know, I'm out there. I'm not shy about talking about it. Like, I'm on all the apps. I always have been. You know, I have like my professional world on Instagram, but also like a personal world, like we all do, and yeah, I mean, I really wanted the movie to be honest. Like, that's what I said to Nick and Judd. I said, look, you know, Nick brought the idea to me. He said he wanted to do a rom-com about a gay couple. And I said, that's great. And I'm very flattered. And I, of course, want to do it. It's such a huge opportunity for me and LGBTQ folks and straight people who never get to experience our stories in an honest, authentic way. A lot of the times, you know, there are exceptions, but a lot of the times, I said to him, it's got to be honest, you know, and I literally, he's a straight man. He's not only a straight man, he's been married, you know, to a woman for 20 years and they have 3 kids. And it's a very, you know, heteronormative existence, as we like to say, although we support our heteronormative friends. But I pulled out Grindr and I said, Nick, if we're going to do this, you need to know what this is like, right? And because he had never been on the apps.
Yeah.
I mean, he wouldn't be on Grindr anyway. He's straight, but like he'd never been on Tinder. He obviously knows what these things are, but it's different to have to deal with it on the day to day and people texting you and then acting like they're in love with you one day, a person you've never met, and then not texting you the next day. And everyone's so passive aggressive and everyone's looking for like very short term love and comfort and validation and some quick text exchange. And then 3 days later, they've disappeared entirely. You never see them again. And no one wants to commit. Everyone wants the love and affection, but everyone's scared to commit, you know, scared to commit to even going out on a date sometimes, you know, and we deal with that in the movie, like the way me and my my boyfriend, played by Luke McFarlane, the way we text each other, all these games we're playing with each other when we're first getting to meet. And there's a lot of comedy in that, but also a lot of reality in that.
Yeah. How many apps are you currently on? You said you're on all of them.
I'm not on all of them. Okay, so I've been kicked off of Tinder twice, and here's why. That makes it sound like I did something bad, which I didn't. But I think what happened is that people see me on there and they think it's fake.
Fake, yeah, yep.
Because I'm in the public eye a bit, and so they think it's someone pretending to be me, so they report it. And I got kicked off once. The first time I was kicked off, I happened to be booked on Jimmy Kimmel that week. So I went on Kimmel and I did a whole rant about how angry I was that I was kicked off of Tinder, right? So Tinder saw it and they felt very bad and they reinstated me. And they also sent me a care package. And it was the most depressing care package because there was literally t-shirts that said, still single, but happy. And it was like a mug that was like, world's funniest single. And it was just so hard.
They're like, we just want everyone to know you're so single.
It's like, yep. I'm like, by the way, Tinder, whose fault is that?
Yeah.
I've been on your fucking app
You
for
kicked
5
me
years
off.
and I'm still single. And so they put me back on. And then last year sometime, around the time we were filming Bros, actually, I went on to Tinder one day in New York and I was blocked again. So it happened again. And at that point, I just said, fuck it. I'm not dealing with this.
That's some bullshit. Although I do understand where people could get confused and think they're helping you out.
I do too, but you're not helping me out. You're helping me die alone is what you're helping me do. But I'm also, let's see, I'm on Grindr. There's another app called Hinge, a dating app. And there's Instagram, and there's another Grindr-like app called Scruff, which the gay boys will know about. I'm on those, and honestly, I'm also on Raya.
I was going to ask if you were on Raya.
But Raya isn't, I don't know. Raya's really mainly for straight folks, I think. Also, I live in New York. Why are you showing me someone who lives in Prague?
Yeah.
Like, it's not, I mean, I'm sure he's lovely, but it's a bit of a commute.
Do you find it hard because, like you said, the people on Tinder thought it was a fake, and so they are reporting you. And now when you do reach out to somebody on one of these apps, are they hesitant, do you feel?
Yeah, I think sometimes people don't believe it's me. And
to send a picture of the newspaper.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
sometimes
like the Manti Te'o documentary.
Exactly. I'm like, sometimes people ask me to verify on Instagram or something like that. And I'm like, okay, sure. Like,
Do you see my blue check mark?
Exactly. I was like, I have 4 Emmy nominations, bitch. All right. And 4 losses. But I don't know. I really try to, sometimes people say like, whoa, is this Billy Eichner? And I'm just like, yeah, it's me. It really is. I don't know how to prove it to you, but I don't know. I'm just trying to be like as normal a person as possible. Right. And I don't really, I'm old enough not to sound like an old man, but I'm old enough to remember a time before apps. And that was a bit more fun, I think. I rather meet someone in person. Mm-hmm. You feel that chemistry. It's sexy. It's exciting. But we've all decided that this is how we're going to meet on our phones, for better or worse. So I'm just embracing it.
Yeah. And you definitely tie that into the movie with you guys actually meeting in real life. And there's so many funny kind of pop culture nods in the movie that I've really loved. I feel like all the talk about the Hallmark movies, when I know Luke has been in a ton of Hallmark movies, was very funny. And then you also put a Colton Underwood joke in the movie, which I thought was perfect because it just tied everything so well. Because if you watch The Bachelor and from your experience being on that show and then having this older man coming, who was his character, not to give too much away, but he's engaged and he breaks up with his fiance because he says he's gay. He comes out and he's like, thanks, Colton Underwood, for really giving me the courage.
Exactly.
Which is
thank you
so funny.
Thank you to my hero, Colton Underwood.
Yeah.
Right. And sorry, for the people who don't know, the clip of Billy on The Bachelor talking with Colton Underwood and basically saying, he was gay. And then,
are you sure?
Yeah. And
I mean, I really didn't know. I
Yeah.
really didn't know. People ask me all the time, did you really know he was gay? No, of course I didn't. The
Right.
man was on The Bachelor, surrounded by women looking to date one of them or marry one of them or whatever happens there. And I was just being funny. I really didn't think. I said to him, I was like, because he was a virgin, that was the whole
Yes.
thing about him at the time. And I thought, well, maybe you're the first gay bachelor and we don't even know it, and he laughed. And then it turns out he was.
It was just wild. It's just
I truly didn't know, and to be honest, if I thought he was, I would have never.
Right,
right,
Of course,
exactly. Yeah.
Of course.
I think and I hope people would know that you wouldn't just out somebody like that. That would be ridiculous.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a game fan myself, and I get it. And now what's funny is Colton is actually dating engaged to a guy that I briefly dated.
Oh shit.
Like a while back. Which is, it's a small gay world. And I ran into them at a house party I don't know, maybe earlier this year. And I hadn't seen Colton and I, we DM'd on Instagram a little bit, as he came out. And obviously the whole thing was so ridiculous considering of my appearance on The Bachelor that time. But we ran into each other at a house party and he came up to me and, we laughed and we hugged and, he's on his journey and, he's a nice guy.
Yeah. Are you an avid Bachelor watcher?
I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not an avid Bachelor watcher, although I do like to check in occasionally. And I did just make an appearance on The Bachelorette.
Yes, we wanted to ask you about that.
We wanted to ask you because when we watched that episode, we were talking about all the ridiculous things they were filling into that episode. And the one thing that we did like was your movie. Like we were like, we were like, honestly though, we're very interested in this new Billy Eichner movie, but
Yeah, we did me and Luke, who plays my boyfriend in Bros, like we went on The Bachelorette and we showed the trailer. We played a Bros themed game with the Bachelorettes, plural.
Yes.
But it was the Men Tell All episode. And I watch those shows a little bit more than Luke does, even though I'm not like fanatical. But Luke looked at me and he was like, why is the vibe so weird on this episode? And I said, Luke, you don't get it. It's the Men Tell All episode. These guys are pissed off. They've all been booted off the show, and they're all like feeling sad and angry and defensive. And we walked in being like, hey, check out our new rom-com, Bros. And these guys all looked at us like, who the fuck are you?
Right. And they've been there for like 8 hours. Like the filming process of that is all day long. But we very much enjoyed your spot on the episode.
You wrestled basically a guy covered in tomato sauce. How was that?
Yes, Meatball.
Yes,
Meatball. There's a contestant, if you're not watching on The Bachelorette this season, who they call, it's not his real name, but everyone calls him Meatball. And in a perfectly reality show inspired moment, Meatball, he had done an episode of The Bachelorette where he got naked or got into a Speedo and covered himself in marinara sauce for a previous challenge. So we had him recreate that, and I help him dump the marinara sauce on him. And then he, in what was a really unscripted moment, like he ran after me and tackled me playfully, not like in an angry way. And it was truly the height of absurdity. And the whole studio audience is shouting, Meatball, Meatball, Meatball. And I felt, this is reality at its finest. This is reality TV at its peak. And I'm happy to be a part of it.
And honestly, after watching Bros, I feel like that moment sort of fit well with the movie too, which is very funny. I feel like when everyone watches it, they'll know what I'm talking about. But it did definitely fit in. And you sing in this movie. You have a song.
I do.
It's fantastic.
Oh, thank you.
Did you intend to sing in this movie, or did that just naturally come up?
No, I did not actually. And in fact, I really fought against it.
Okay.
Because I thought, it's kind of one of those cliched rom-com things that happens and it doesn't happen in real life and all of it. We were really trying to keep it real. And I don't want to give it away, but it was actually, we were a couple of weeks into shooting the movie, and Luke, who again plays my boyfriend in the movie, Luke McFarlane. He's so wonderful in it. Um, we had a conversation late night on set about the music we listen to in real life. Because Luke and we didn't know each other really that well before the movie started. I mean, we'd gotten to know each other through the casting process, but we weren't friends. And so, which I think kind of worked to our advantage because we had that little bit of mystique,
right,
that
right.
little spark that you only have with people that you know a little bit, but you don't fully know them. And as our characters were discovering each other, we were discovering each other off screen, and in one of those conversations, we talked about what kind of music he likes. That inspired a musical moment in the movie is all that I will say.
Yes.
But that happened literally, that was not in the movie when we started shooting. And I went to Nick Stoller and our producers and I said, I know this is crazy, but, and I know we're shooting this scene in like a week, but Luke and I had a conversation and it inspired me to write something. And I'm hoping we can put it into the movie. And to everyone's credit, we did. And I should mention another reason that could happen is because the composer of the music in Bros, it's not a musical, but the score of Bros is written by the legendary Mark Shaman, who wrote so many rom-com scores. He wrote the score to When Harry Met Sally and The First Wives Club and The American President and Sister Act and all these like classic comedies that I grew up loving. And then he agreed to write the score for Bros. And, it was so magical.
Yeah, it's just as much as you want a rom-com to feel real, you also sometimes have to play into those rom-com tropes where like,
of course.
Would there ever be a flash mob in
Friends with Benefits?
Yes,
I was going to say that.
in
Yes.
Grand Central, like no,
Right.
dedicated for you, no, but you want to have those moments, which I think created a great moment for this movie. But we are also big fans of the other projects you have done and things you've done. And Billy on the Street is one of the funniest things that's truly ever been created. And we have tried to do man on the street type stuff before. And I think a lot of people say, oh, that's so easy. I'll just go put together a little man on the street video and it'll be great. It's so hard.
Right.
Oh my God. It's so hard.
Yeah.
And
I mean, so much credit to you because I think a lot, not even just us, I think a lot of people here at Barstool have tried to tackle that and only a few have really been able to do it. So I can't even imagine. I mean, you've really perfected it.
Well, thank you. But yeah, it's one of those things, we've had all these big celebrity guests on the show, like really successful, well-known actors. And we've had everyone from Michelle Obama to Chris Evans and Mariah Carey and all these like icons on the show. And they're obviously like incredibly, incredibly skilled, brave, talented people, all of them. But they don't realize until they get there. They always look at me midway through like, oh, wow. Like, I didn't realize like this is hard. Like this takes an insane amount of energy and you're improvising the entire time. It's not scripted. You're thinking on your feet. And you're dealing with strangers and you're dealing with the streets of New York, which is what makes the show work.
Yeah.
But it's also what makes it, difficult. It's challenging. And, to keep it up to the standards of comedy, that we've always tried to, it's definitely the two hardest things I've ever had to do professionally were writing Bros and Billy on the Street in different ways, different types of challenges. But, and also I hope those are the two best things I've ever done. And the things, and I've gotten to do some really wonderful things and I'm very lucky, but Billy on the Street and now Bros are like those two really, those are the ones I'm so far most proud of and really, but they were really hard, and I hope it, it paid off.
Did your nerves ever die down or was it always that same adrenaline rush?
You mean for Billy on the Street? When I first started doing it, I remember vividly the first day I tried to do it. I had to circle Washington Square Park in the West Village a few times before I even had the nerve to walk up to one person.
Yeah.
And as the years went on, I mean, I have been doing it for a really long time. So in its own completely bizarre way, it starts to become your job. And you do get used to it. But it's always really hard. I can't drop character, and that's not a job you can phone in. Like if I phone it in, we're not getting funny material, and that day is lost, and we've lost that money and that time, and we're not going to get what we need. So it's a tough one, but it's also the reason I have everything, and it's the reason I got to make Bros probably. And boy, those Billy on the Street clips on TikTok, I don't even post them. My fans post them, and they are as popular as they've ever been. It's startling to me. There are absolutely kids watching those clips on TikTok who were not born when I started doing it. And that's amazing. I mean, I'm proud of it. I created that by myself. And after a lot of years of the powers that be telling me I was too this or too that, too gay, too this, too edgy, too loud, too New York, too smart, too whatever. And I got to point to all those views online and say, you're wrong. There's an audience here. And the fact that I'm a little different is a strength, not a weakness.
Absolutely. And I think it shows. And when a show like that, when it gets to the point where I'm sure it got difficult to even keep doing, because it did reach that level where you sometimes you lose the authenticity. You go up to someone, they're like, well, is this Billy on the Street? Like I gotta have my answer ready to go. But it is so good. But Billy, thank you so much for joining us. This was amazing. Everyone can go see Bros in theaters September 30th. It's really great. I think, we haven't gotten a good rom-com in theaters in a while, so this is a perfect reason to head to the movies, get your snacks, and enjoy a good heartfelt movie.
Yeah, it really will make you laugh out loud and make you feel good. We're in a very bleak world, and we need uplifting, funny, feel-good movies just as much as we need dark, gritty superhero movies.
Yep, absolutely.
And we don't get a lot of these. And I'll also say, yes, it's about a gay couple, it's about LGBTQ people, but we need our straight fans and friends and allies to get out there and support us, because there's an assumption in Hollywood that straight people don't want to see these movies. And I don't think that's true. I think funny is funny, and something that makes you laugh and moves you. It doesn't matter who it's about if it's done right. And so everyone get out there, see Bros. And thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, I put my stamp on that. Yes. We laughed out loud. It is that funny. We promise. So you should everyone should go see it. Thank you so much, Billy.
Thank you so much. It was so great meeting you.
In studio next time.
Yeah, next time, definitely.
And I'll bring Billie Eilish. So
Perfect.
Great. Bye.
Bye. Thank you again.